I scaled our agency to over $200,000 per month, and what I'm going to do today is I'm gonna go over some key pillars that helped me realize what it actually takes to be a $200,000 per month agency owner. And these are the same pillars that allowed me to not only scale, but remove stuff off of my plate, buy back my time, do things that I enjoy like endurance sports, spending time with my wife, traveling, and so much more. So let's get into it. The first real thing that I want to hit on that is paramount when we begin to start our agency is the mindset. The first thing that I was doing when I was first starting my agency was I was like, I'm gonna build this agency, I'm gonna grind. In my initial mindset, because I was consumed with like the Gary Vee culture and like the hustle culture, was very much, I'm just gonna grind my face off. The problem is I was basically creating a job for myself. So when I was first starting, my mindset was, I'm gonna say yes to everything. I had this fear of like the client's gonna go to a different person, or like there's revenue sitting in front of me. So of course I need to take advantage of that. And I had this fear almost that the clients wouldn't say yes if I'm not just doing everything that they want. If we want to actually take our agency to actually building a business, we need to be in that CEO mindset. There's so many agency owners and they're just so bogged down working in the business, and practically they're like just creating jobs for themselves. They're freelancing, even though they have the deep down desire to build a team to hit 6 figures in 1 month. And it's really challenging if your mindset is, I'm gonna do everything that I can possibly do for the client. We need to get into the CEO mindset. So that is the first thing. Once we are into the mindset of being a CEO, the first thing that we really need to do, and that we did, was we need to figure out what our actual offer is. I see so many people, they dig themselves into a hole because they've said yes to so many things, and their client fulfillment is all over the place because they have so many different yeses out there that it's confusing and convoluting and frankly impossible to scale. Because if you're saying yes to everything, you're never going to be able to foundationally build from, because there's so many different products, so many different services that you're doing for so many different people. We want to avoid that at all costs when we're beginning to scale. So the first real way that we can do this is by making sure we have a really good offer. What we want to do from the jump is make sure our offer is foundationally set up to scale for our clients. It's foundationally set up to be the solution for our clients. And then over time, you stack and get better at the offer. I just want to quickly break down like what goes into a good offer. So the first thing that we really need to identify is who is our target customer. If you're unsure on who it is, maybe you have some clients, look at that client, the client that you're working with, and start to get to know their business and understand what their business is. If you have 0 clients, do some research, figure out who's in a growing industry, who has money. Maybe you have a little bit of past experience working with a specific type of client, but that's how we determine who do I want my message to be for, who do I want my offer to be for. And the next thing that we want to figure out is what are the pain points of these customers. We need to look at our customers, and what we need to do is we need to go deep into the pain of our customers. Not just, oh, I'm gonna create videos for you. Oh, I'm gonna make a website for you. That is not like a deep enough pain that can provide a strong message, a strong conviction for that customer to wanna do business with you. What is it that they're actually needing and actually struggling with? And we need to identify that, because this becomes the core of our message and the core of our agency. And once we determine the who, the pain, all we want to determine next is the outcome. And this is going to take you doing some research into the who that you're actually targeting to figure out who am I wanting to work with, what are their deepest, darkest pains, what are their pains in their business, and then what is the desired outcome, what is it they actually want inside of their business. Because all we have to do as agency owners, and this is really simple, guys, is we need to figure out how do I get my customers from where they are, their deepest pains, to where they want to go. And this is the gap of what we solve for. We need to make sure that the gap of where my customers are to where they want to go is large, and that they're very aware of it. I'll give you a couple examples. So let's just say you're a video editor, or you do editing or content for your clients. Rather than you saying, oh, we help local businesses wanting to create videos, that is not a strong message, and that doesn't create a gap. So what you could say instead is, we help local established business owners struggling to become more known, become the most known in their niche, and position themselves as an authority so that they can get more business. And I would say the other thing on this is we want the pain and the outcome to be financially driven. Because if we're just soft with the pain, soft with the outcome, that's not actually going to attract your customer. Once we have the pain and the outcome and the who, all we need to figure out is what are these steps that are going to get my customers from where they are to where they want to go. And this becomes your steps to desired outcome, which really becomes your offer. I have my customers' pains and I know what their outcomes are, and I understand these businesses. What you need to do is you need to figure out, how do I get my customers from where they are to where they want to go. And this becomes your steps to outcome. And what we just need to realize is, okay, cool, I'm going to do onboarding, I'm going to do strategy call, I'm going to do content day, I'm going to do whatever your steps to outcome that you as an expert, you as an agency owner, you as a marketer determine what's going to actually get them there. This is the foundation of your actual offer to the clients. And now when we go sell this thing, all we're doing is we're following the steps that we've determined that we feel really convicted because we've done our research, we've foundationally set this up for success, will increase the likelihood of our clients getting to the outcome. And it doesn't have to be you're running their business for them. It can be something like simple. So if they just want leads, like figure out the simplest way to get them leads, and that's your offer. It just needs to be solving for one problem, and that becomes your message, that becomes your offer. So the next pillar that I really want to hit on, and that is going to be the pricing strategy of our offer. I talked to hundreds of agencies, and the core pillar that I hear a lot of people struggle with is, how do I price this accordingly? What we've already done is we've outlined what are these steps to desired outcome. Now what we need to do after we've identified the steps to desired outcome is we need to figure out who's gonna do each step. So I'm not looking at my steps to desired outcome as I'm gonna do everything and I'm gonna be bogged down doing everything. I'm gonna look at this as a business. Who can I delegate these steps to? So let's just say, well, this is one person in charge of like the strategy, this is one person in charge of like the content, and this is one person in charge of like social media analytics and some like project management work. These are 3 people that you could eventually hire to help fulfill this offer. What we then can do is we can look at this, we can say, cool, there's 3 people that eventually I can hire in order to help me out. So I'm gonna go person number 1, person number 2, and person number 3. I'm gonna say, I think these 3 things that this person is going to be doing should take about 4 hours. And I'm gonna say these 2 things, let's just say this is gonna be 8 hours to fulfill. And these 2 things, let's just say this is gonna be 3 hours. Now I've identified what are the billable hours that go into the offer, because we are charging as agencies based off of time, billable hours. That's a factor in addition to value that we're providing. I'm gonna keep this really, really simple. Let's just say we have this person, we pay them, let's just call it $50 an hour. This person, we're gonna get them overseas. They're gonna help out with some of the editing perhaps, or whatever. And then we're gonna pay them $25 an hour. Maybe overseas, maybe not, whatever. I'm just gonna use round numbers. And then project management, client success, we have client success managers for $10 an hour. So now this is how much it's gonna cost me per hour to pay this person eventually. I need to figure out what does this equal? And this gives me what's called our COGS. So our cost of goods sold, that's going to be $200. That's going to be $200, I think. And then 3 by 10, that's gonna be $30. So now, what this gives us is how much does it cost me as a business owner to fulfill the offer, which is called our cost of goods sold. So if I added 200 plus 200 plus 30, that would be $430 for my cost of goods sold. So we know that if we sell our offer once, then if I'm gonna delegate everything, it's gonna cost me $430. We need to make a profit on this. So we need to do a multiplier of 3, 4, 5, whatever it could be, to understand what our floor retail cost should be, which would be the cost of goods sold multiplied by at least 3, in my opinion, $1,300 retail. So this would give us the retail cost of this specific offer. And if we sell this offer at $1,300, we know that we can hire a team to fulfill it eventually. So we're not in the trap of unprofitable, we're not doing everything ourselves. $1,300, we should be charging more than that. This is just an example, but it would be around $900 in profit at a 66% plus margin on this offer gross profit. You're likely going to be doing a lot more, but this is an example of how we can begin to look at our offering, look at our business, not from the perspective of, I have no idea what my numbers are, but how do we price for profit? How do we price to delegate? How do we price to actually scale this thing so that we're not doing everything inside of our business? We're not doing everything ourselves, and we're looking at our offer, our steps to outcome through the lens of delegating. Then with this lens, now you can feel confident in scaling, confident in building a team based off of your offer, which we already determined. Once we determine our pricing, the next thing that we really need to focus on is the actual systems, the systems to actually fulfill this. So if we go to our offer, we have steps to desired outcome. We have people that can help us. What we need to do, especially as we're scaling early phases, and it's really hard to do when you're doing a lot of in the business activities, we need to build systems as we're building our business business so that we can set the next person up for success when we go and hire them. What we need to do is, with these steps to desired outcome, we need to begin to operate from the perspective of, how do I start doing this step, this step, this step, and document what I'm doing. So we need to create systems and standard operating procedures for each step of the offer. Let's just say this is it. Cool, I'm gonna build an SOP, I'm gonna build an SOP, I'm gonna build an SOP, I'm gonna film myself doing this, I'm gonna document exactly how I do this so that I can begin to replace myself. So all we're doing is we're looking at the steps. With each step, this is what I'm doing, and this is what, if I were to replace myself, this is what they should be doing as well to do it just as good as me. The CEO operator goal essentially is, you want to consistently replace yourself. In order to replace yourself, you need to have processes in place that when you go to replace yourself, somebody else can follow. For example, let's just say this is onboarding. What you're gonna do is you're gonna document exactly how somebody should onboard the client. And what you'll start to realize is, cool, this is the ideal way to do it. This is how I should be doing it. Maybe you're kind of scattered all over the place, but it will challenge you to start to operate your daily workload using a process. And what will also come from it is you'll start to identify, maybe there's more ways that I can be efficient with this. And that becomes the next step, which pokes holes in your business essentially, which makes you realize, once I have the SOPs, I need to actually create systems for this. I need to create a system for every single part of the business. We look at this and we say, here's the pillar that we are gonna get off of our plate, here's how to do it, and here's the system that we can have somebody else eventually follow. Foundationally, you have an SOP of how to do it and a system in place that you're foundationally setting yourself up for success, for growth, so that when you do hire somebody, when you do come to a point where you run out of hours in your day, hiring somebody isn't going to be an absolute mess and an absolute challenge. Some key systems that I like to implement that I would encourage you to also take note of is an onboarding system. What is it that happens when I onboard a client? You can automate about 90% of this to make your life so much easier. A fulfillment system. What happens when you begin to fulfill for a client? Who's doing what? Project management system. So how do you manage this person and make sure that they have all of the tasks that they need and you're holding them accountable to it and they know the due dates and they can actually effectively manage those projects. And then all things like sales system. How am I managing my pipeline? How am I managing my leads? And then of course a hiring system, which we'll also talk about as well. A couple other things would be like a client hub, essentially. We like to use Notion for the onboarding system. We like to use Notion for fulfillment. We like to use Notion for project management, sales, hiring, and the client hub. So building out these systems for the team with SOPs for success that is foundationally set from your offer is going to be a key thing as we begin to grow and scale our agency. Next thing that I really want to hit on is client acquisition. If you're an agency and you're just kind of starting to scale, you're starting to build, you've probably grown from word of mouth and referrals. That was me. The problem is there's going to become a point inside of your agency where those word of mouth and referrals dry up. The second point that I want to make on client acquisition is, in order to feel confident in hiring, in order to feel confident in your ability to bring on the team for the offer that we just laid out and for the team that we just built, we need a predictable way to get new clients so that we're not in the cycle of feast and famine. We're not in the mindset of scarcity that is a symptom of not having predictable client acquisition. If you have predictable clients, this will solve a lot of problems inside of your business. So when it comes to client acquisition, the easiest way to predictably get leads is through paid ads. There's a lot of different ways, but for this specific instance, what I want to talk about is how to use paid ads to get clients. When we go back to our offer, we have the who, we have the pain, and we have the outcome of our ideal customer. So what we want to do is we want to attract our ideal customers who are the person who have the pain and who want the desired outcome. All we need to do is we need to leverage that through paid ads and attract our ideal customer. We need to learn a very valuable skill, which is copywriting. The thing that I like about paid ads is what you put out is who you're going to attract. We need to market the pains of our ideal customer who want these specific outcomes. And that becomes our core message in our business and also in our marketing. How this looks is we will run one ad. This will be ad number one, which will be a traffic ad. So the purpose of this ad is we're going to drive all traffic to IG. That's the place we're driving people to. We're in a trust recession, and if we are constantly building our brand, if we're posting on social media, like, people are naturally gonna go on social and check you out and like make sure you're legit and all that sort of stuff. This funnel fast tracks that. First ad that we're going to do is we're gonna try to get followers of our ideal customers to our IG page. So how that looks is we do a follow ad. If you're a San Diego business owner and you're struggling to predictably grow your business and become the most known in your niche, and you're seeing all your competition smash and you're wondering, what am I doing wrong? And What you want is you want to predictably grow your business, da 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 da. Go ahead and give me a follow here on Instagram and go through all my content where I show San Diego business owners just like you how to predictably get new clients without having to rely on word of mouth and referral, how to become the most in your niche so that you can be positioned as the go-to authority. Just give me a follow and go through all my content. But it all stems back from the offer. We need to understand the pain and the outcome, and we need to use copy to do that. So that's the first ad. The second ad that we're going to run is going to be a DM ad. So there's really like two different types of DM ads. There's like a carousel ad, there's a video ad that we can do as well, there's B-roll ad, there's a lot of different like variations of this. For the sake of this, I'm just gonna keep it really simple and kind of explain the copy and the theory of it. So let's just say you're a content agency and you're running ads for a client and you're also creating content for them. Hey, if you're a San Diego business owner, the easiest way for you to predictably grow your business and get new clients on repeat is to run an ad like the one you're seeing right now and create consistent content that positions you as an authority in the niche. If you want to learn more about how this funnel works so that you can also predictably get leads and become the most in your niche, just DM me the word content and I'll send you more information on the exact process that San Diego business owners are using to do this themselves. So we're getting people to DM us. Carousel ads a little bit longer. I can't explain it with a whiteboard. Some variations to get our ideal client with the pain points, with the desired outcome to take action to direct message us. So if you run these two ads, you're going to start getting followers and you're going to start getting DMs. And who's going to start following you and who's going to DM you? Your ideal client with the pain points, with the desired outcomes. And you have the solution to their problems. Third ad that we want to do is what we call a retargeting ad. So with retargeting, basically what we can do is we can only show an ad to everybody who's followed us, who's DM'd us, who's visited our profile, so they're somewhat aware of us. And what we're doing with the retargeting ad is we're gonna get them to DM us as well. You're pretty much drawing in your ideal customer. They're following you, they're DMing you, they're checking out your social profile. We can retarget those ideal customers to DM us. So now we're being omnipresent to our ideal customer with the pain points, with the desired outcome. And with this funnel, all we have to do with the followers and the DMs is we need to set the appointment in the DMs. So we know that Instagram is a huge leverage point because it will accelerate trust. If you're active on Instagram, if you're posting on Instagram, if you're driving traffic to it and you are DMing them and setting the appointment directly through Instagram where your customers are, where they're messaging you, where they're clearly active. If we can nail this, you will predictably be able to attract your ideal customer, get really good at the appointment setting to set appointments, which then you would close them after you set the appointment in the direct messages. There's an art to appointment setting, there's an art to copywriting. So I'm not saying this will, if you do exactly what I say, like there's an art to it and you need to refine it and you need to get really good at it because this is a 7-figure plus multiple 7-figure funnel that can be extremely successful for you if done right. We have agencies inside of agency cleaning up with this type of offer ourselves. We're running a similar funnel, cleaning up. Once we knock those things out, now it becomes the chore of finding help, getting stuff off of your plate so that you can actually set somebody up for success, which is going to be all things hiring. There's an art to hiring. I think what I did and what a lot of people do when they start off, they throw somebody in the deep end to say, all right, John, go onboard this client, go edit this client. They're not set up for success and it can be just like a mess. But because you're watching this video and you know how to set up systems and SOPs, all we have to do is we need to make sure we're really clear on who we're hiring. So since we have the SOPs for everything, we have the systems for everything so that we know when we hire somebody, all we have to do is we have to get them embedded in here. We just need to train them on exactly what we need to do. So the first part of this, before we even hire somebody, is one, we need to make sure this is actually set up for success. But the real kicker is going to be a job description. What I'm doing when I create a job description is I'm gonna create the role, I'm gonna create the responsibilities, I'm gonna create the KPIs. So if we know, do John as a video editor, it's gonna take him 10 hours per offer per month to edit for a client. What's 160 divided by 10? Well, that will be 16. We know that John can manage 16 clients, which would be 160 edits a month. When you hire John, you can actually say, cool, did you do 160 edits last month? Do we have 16 clients that we can hand over to you with the expectation being 160 edits per month? Okay, what does that break down to per day? How many edits is that a day? And you as a business owner, you just need to make sure you have systems and processes in place to track the KPIs and set them up for success. So your job is not, I'm gonna do as many edits as possible, I'm gonna throw this person in the deep end. Your job becomes an expectation center. CEO to me is a chief expectation officer. The more expectations expectations you can set, and the more that you can set each person up for success, the more successful that they're going to be. Because if I were to get a job, I would want to know, what are my KPIs? What are the expectations of me? And if it's an A player, you want to build them up to be able to crush those KPIs, meet or exceed those expectations. So if we don't have the roles, responsibilities, and most importantly, the KPIs set, we're going to be in trouble. So when it comes to hiring for this, like what I like to do is I like to run what's called a talent acquisition funnel. So for the talent acquisition funnel, basically there's a few ways that we run the talent acquisition funnel, but today I'm just going to quickly cover exactly what we do. First thing is we will have a job description. And next would be a intake form. The intake form, basically what we're doing is we're asking questions like, what is your name? Like, what's the past experience with a similar job like this? What are your salary expectations? What's your goal expectations? What's your life expectations? Are you a freelancer? Are you an agency? Are you looking to scale? Questions that you would sift through a first interview and try to figure out. After we get the form dialed in, then we're going to post the job. So I look at talent acquisition, kind of like client acquisition. We want to market the posting. So that means post on your social media, post on Indeed, post it on onlinejobs.ph, post on Upwork, post on every single job posting platform possible to drive as much traffic to the post as possible. Okay, and then what's going to happen is we're not going to post the job and be like, all right, now I got to sift through 150 resumes. I'm going to post the job and I'm going to drive them to the form, to the intake form. So now all I have to do is I have to review the forms. What we do inside of the post, we say, to be considered, you need to fill out this form. So now we go through the form, we leave that up for a few days, get a bunch of candidates, and we go through the form and we pick the top 5, top 3, whatever it could be. And then what we do is we say, send me a Loom video explaining why you feel like this is a fit for you, why you're the best candidate for this position. And then now we haven't had to jump on hours of interviews. We haven't had to sort through hundreds of resumes. We're starting to dwindle down our ideal customer or our ideal prospect, our ideal candidate through some quick tips. And after we review the Looms, that's when you can do an interview essentially and interview the candidate and make sure they're legit, make sure they're cool and all that sort of stuff. And then from there, if they pass that, we do some sort of test work depending on the role. And then at this point, you should be really clear on if you should make a decision or not. You could do an optional interview, but at this point you should be like, yeah, this person is good, we want to move forward, or you could be like, hey, we want to vet this person out, or we want to go back to the drawing board and get more candidates to actually sort through. And afterwards, we do a 30-day trial where we brand the hire as basically being like a 30-day trial. And that basically sets expectations from the perspective of, you may have crushed the interview, crushed the Loom video, crushed the test work, but if you're not a fit when we actually see you in the role, there's an out. After 30 days, then you can review if they're a fit and actually make the decision to hire them. It's sort of more of a protection mechanism. So this is basically like a funnel. This is how we funnel the candidates to get the A players. And the last thing that will just be more so a rant is the main job of you is to be a leader. So the next pillar that you really need to invest in is leadership. As you begin to hire, as you begin to scale, it becomes more challenging because you're giving up more and more and more control. Leadership to me is multiplication and creating other leaders. So going back to the mindset of being a CEO, we need to put our CEO cap on. And if we're building a team, we need to invest into the team to make them better leaders, to make them better. Our most important client, as we begin to hit that 6-figure mark, once we begin to build a team, is not going to be the client that's paying you money. It's going to be the client that you're actually paying. It's going to be your team. Practically, what we were able to do is we were able to create layers of leadership. So I was doing everything inside of the business. I was overseeing the whole freaking team, but I identified people inside of the agency, inside of our business, that I could build up to then manage the people underneath of them. Through the process of building up other people, they began to be a manager, step up, take ownership, learn, be representative of the values of our company, and lead people underneath of them. So now I can focus on the CEO activities, things that are actually going to move the business forward and not have to be bogged down, not have to be the bottleneck inside of the agency. That's pretty much it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this video valuable. If you are an agency owner and you want the exact systems that we've implemented inside of our business, as well as hundreds of other agencies, go ahead and click the link in the description down below to learn about Agency U and how we can help install these systems for you inside of your agency, and we can work together one-to-one. If not, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future. And if you haven't already, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.